What's up, traders? It's your boy Vincent, aka Vin Boss, and today we are going to give you the daily update. Since Thursday, we did manage to update our 14-day liquidity and our wave liquidity. So, what does this seem like to me? I do think since March we have been in one wave. I don't see this as a pullback after we had this strong wave to the upside. I don't think this is a pullback. So what do I expect to see? This is an update that might go on to next week with the weekly forex forecast. So with that being said, beautiful traders, this looks like an A and a B and a C. And as soon as we hit the 14-day liquidity right here, which is 99.27 on DXY, we are now looking for buying opportunities to continue to the upside. The overall direction is still to the upside. This is what I want to see. This is what I would like to see. Yet if this Friday ends up with the market coming down to retest the wave liquidity, which in this case would be like this still here right here is a great place to look for buying opportunities to go to the upside. This should be monitored very carefully. Now I want us to go to the daily time frame to see what the daily time frame has in store for us. Now with the daily time frame, one thing is for sure on this DXY level. Before, let me just put this broken. This is our broken liquidity, which will turn an opposite liquidity, or the broken resistance turning support. Now with that being said, beautiful traders, from this we are now structured to the upside. We have a break above this structure and we do have a pullback. Now I wouldn't be surprised if Friday we do nothing and then on Monday next week we start going to the upside or to even retest, but to make a new high it is more imminent than it is for us to keep on going to the downside with the dollar. So with that being said, beautiful traders, I would like for us to return back to, even if before even if we could just go to the weekly time frame, you can see that on the weekly time frame we are here. We have already what looks like an engulfing pattern. We are on the tail of last week, which is here. We bought here last week and we went up with this wave. And even on the weekly time frame, you can see that we do have an independent resistance right here. We have the weekly resistance, which might look like we are going to continue to the downside. But if we are going to, we would like to see this close below this last week's opening. We would like to see the close of this week go below last week's opening. If you don't mind, I can just view this up to zoom it so that I can explain this much further. Now traders, this is the opening of last week. Went to the downside, we bought from this, and then to the upside. This is the weekly time frame. Now with that being said, what do I expect now? I expect to see this close a little bit higher than the opening of last week, which will confirm to me that we are still in a buying opportunities to the downside. And with that being said, traders, I do want to see this go to the upside. This is by far the best uh setup going into next week. And last but not least, we can check this one out, of course, which is the daily the monthly time frame. With the monthly time frame, we do have that the same as the weekly time frame, which is the resistance of the monthly time frame, and we have bounced and hit this. I do believe that before this month end we might close in a bullish momentum so that we can continue the bullish momentum and break this resistance on the weekly and the monthly time frame to continue to the upside. Now this is the DXY. If we do go back to if we do go back to the 4-hour time frame, the smaller time frame, you will see that we are looking for buying opportunities around here to continue and make that 1:20 to the upside, of course. So without wasting further time, let's go straight to the euro and the dollar to see what it has in store for us before we go to other currency pairs. And traders, with the euro and the dollar, very simply put, what the euro dollar has in store for us, we are still in a downtrend. And I did mention that I don't see this as a selling opportunities, but what I would rather see in here, but what I would rather much like to see in here is this looks like an opposite A, B, C to the DXY. So with that being said, this is the 14-day liquidity. It is updated, of course, because I did mention to you that on Thursday, this is when I will know. If you don't remember me saying this, go to the weekly Forex forecast of me telling you that on Thursday, the 14-day liquidity will be updated and everything will be clear from then. So, traders, with that being said, this is, I would like to see selling opportunities arriving from here to the downside. Even though this looks pretty much like we are in a uptrend, we might be bouncing from here and continuation to the upside, which I would not be paying attention to because this also, this wave liquidity here, I do mention this a lot, traders. I want you to pay attention to that. I do mention the wave liquidity, the 14-day liquidity, the monthly liquidity. There are three types of liquidities that we are using in a real account traders community. And for you to join the real account traders community, it is very simple. Let me remind you before we continue. All you have to do is register under your trading account under the exclusive excellence link, which will be left under the video description on this video here in YouTube. Verify your trading account details, fund the minimum of $100 or more, and send proof of registration and funded account to me on Telegram. You can search Vinboss Free Signals on Telegram and join it, or if you want the link will also be left under the video description right on this video. Now, let's go back to the charts. What I was saying to you traders is this is a wave liquidity. This is where I expect to see selling opportunities arise from if this 14-day liquidity fails. This is exactly where I would like to see selling opportunities arise from. And with that being said, this might be a strong wave to the downside, but we have to be careful that we do not break above this and above this as long as the month entails. And I did mention, if you guys are paying close attention to these videos, I did mention that February we almost had like a standstill month where we didn't have much of the liquidity, and now that we do have this liquidity coming, and I did mention that the March is going to have a lot of liquidity, and we did break this low of February together with the low of January, which is why this 14-day liquidity, as you look at it from afar, this is the low of January, this is the 14-day liquidity. It is sitting almost exactly where the low of January is, which might give us great opportunities to go to the downside and sell the euro against the US dollars. And traders, we should also go and monitor this. This is the daily time frame, and in the daily time frame, very simply put, we do have what a strong momentum to the downside, pullback, and a continuation. We did go with this continuation to the downside. Of course, everybody who has been following me knows what I'm talking about. And look at this. After this break of support, this was where the support was supposed to be. After this break of support, we are now retesting it as resistance for the continuation of the fall to the downside. Buying more dollar truly is what I do expect to see on the euro and the dollar to the downside. And if we do break to the downside, we might be heading towards this on the next 3 months, which is on the daily time frame. But of course, we will be dealing with this daily with the real account traders community. We will be dealing with this weekly and daily with the free YouTube Telegram channel, free YouTube and the Telegram channel. So this is the euro and the dollar on the daily time frame. With that being said, beautiful traders, we are now going to if you are asking about the trading platform that I'm using, I am using Go Chatting as my trading platform. This is not Trading View. So with that being said, I do expect to see this go to the downside either this week or next week. But if we do have a close below the opening of last week, just like we did mention on the DXY, this would be perfect for us to go to these levels right here, and it would be perfect for, this is the weekly time frame, this would be perfect of course for us if we are still bearish, and if there are any buying opportunities or anything that signals that the buy from the dollar has been exhausted, we will notify you. But for now, everything else still looks like we are in a pullback and we are timing to go to the downside. And very last but not least, we have to go to this monthly time frame. And with the monthly time frame, traders, this looks exactly, we were in a resistance area here. We were in a resistant area here, or rather the monthly liquidity, the wave of there is a wave of the monthly, and then this is the liquidity. And then if we go to the 4-hour chart, there is a monthly liquidity which measures the candle, the previous candle liquidity of the previous month, which in here it is the monthly liquidity. Every candle represents each month. So with that being said, traders, what do I expect to see? Of course, right now we already have a gap here, and we already have a bearish pattern confirming that we are on the selling side. What we need is a close below here to retest here on the monthly time frame. So if your weekly, daily and monthly time frame aligns, traders, this is the best setup that you are taking, because it means that everything else is in alignment. There are zero chances or minimal chances that anything might surprise you. So traders, this is what I expect on the 4-hour time frame. Continuation to the downside, and to really break this low and continue to break this low to the downside. This is the euro dollar for us. Let's go to the pound and the dollar and see what it has in store for us, beautiful traders. So traders, with the pound and the dollar, what I expect to see is more bearish patterns and formations from this. We are already at our 14-day liquidity. We are already at our wave liquidity from the upside. And if we do break this, if the dollar and if the euro dollar and the DXY go to their wave liquidity, I believe that the pound and the dollar would go to the monthly liquidity to look for selling opportunities. Nothing has changed in here, traders. It's still the same. What do I expect to see here? I expect to see more bearish patterns and formations, and a continuation to the downside to break out this low and this low. I'm not looking for any buying opportunities as of yet. If I will be looking for any buying opportunities, it will be the break of the monthly, the previous month low, and then I'll be looking for buying opportunities to the upside. But until then, nothing else right now seems very, all of a sudden the change of structure. Everything else is still in place. I do want to see this happening going into the ends of this week. And with that being said, beautiful traders, as today I have already been giving you the weekly and the daily and so forth. This is, look at this change of structure right here, and this is a great place to look for selling opportunities to continue the downside to reach this level right here. Why do I say so? Remember, there is something called correlation. That means if the euro dollar is buying, the pound dollar is buying. If the euro dollar is selling, the pound and the dollar is selling. So with that being said, this gap here was filled and we are going to retest this level again to the downside. Now, what do I want to see? I would like to see bearish patterns and formations to the downside. We did have a pretty strong day, a bullish engulfing day from yesterday on Thursday. And if we do have a continuation of this like this is the monthly liquidity, we just as we have seen on the weekly time frame, and then a continuation to the downside will be more imminent than before. We are still here, we will still be here to monitor these trades with you week in and week out. So this is the pound and the dollar on the daily time frame. But if we do go to the weekly time frame, you would see one thing. You would see that, let me zoom in first, we are close to making a new high from last week in here. If we do have a new high, this would trigger us to continue to the upside, but under one condition. This is the monthly liquidity that we were talking about, or the monthly time frame, the monthly liquidity that we were talking about in the 4-hour time frame. So this of course would be a great place for us to look for selling opportunities. And if we do break, look at this, this is a clear break to the downside, and right now we are still right here. What I would like to see in the pound and the dollar is, I would like to see this close right under this resistance level today. And then if it closes under this resistance level today in the lower time frames, of course, I would definitely take this as a continuation sign from next week to the end of the month to reach out these levels here before we can continue to the upside on, or change the structure to the upside. But I would definitely like to see the pound dollar coming down towards these levels. This might be the same like this. We were looking for selling opportunities from this level, but as soon as this candle came in, traders were like, we are going to buy this, and we waited, looked for bearish patterns and formations, and we made money with this going to the downside. This is exactly what I expect to see going into this week. Strong candle to the upside like this one, strong candle to the upside like this one, and a tail to retest here, and then a continuation to the downside maybe next week, or if we do close from this, to continue the downside and retest this weekly liquidity before we can continue to the upside. Now this is the pound and the dollar weekly time frame. Let's go to the last but not least, which is the monthly liquidity and the monthly time frame. With the monthly time frame, the pound seems very strong. Now we do have this as a bearish engulfing pattern, and this also extends the power of, excuse me, this also extends the power of the sellers. But what do we have currently? It's not, listen, today it's the it's the 20th of March. We have 10 days before. Anything can happen within 10 days before this monthly close, right? I would like to see this go to the downside, of course, repeatedly, just like in the lower time frames. Even though this right here on the monthly time frame looks like we are about to close the monthly with a bullish pin bar, but this, a lot can happen in 10 days, and we will remember this as soon as March closes the candle. We will remember this, and I would like to see this March candle become more like another bearish candle following this one, would confirm that March, even April, might have to come down to this level before continuing to the upside. This is the pound and the dollar monthly time frame analysis. This is what I would like to see, and this is what I would definitely put my money on. I am not yet looking for buying opportunities, as the DXY, the euro, and other currency pairs of the dollar have not yet changed to the downside or to the weakness of the dollar and taking advantage of the weakness of the dollar. Everything else still looks like it's in a pullback mode, and correlation will tell us best. If anything changes structure, all the currencies will change structure, and we will continue, or we will ride the wave to the weakness of the dollar. But for now, since we are not riding the weakness to of the dollar, we are still on with the strength of this. We are back to the 4-hour chart with the strength of the dollar. What we would like to see is forming bearish patterns and formations, and then a continuation to the downside would be a perfect setup for us. So that is it from me with the pound and the dollar. Let's go straight to the US dollar and the Japanese yen. Traders, with the US dollar and the Japanese yen, what we do have is it's a beautiful setup. Let's think about it. This is the 14-day liquidity. This is the wave liquidity, and this is the monthly liquidity. And we have been, let me remove this. This looks like I'm out here bragging. I don't want to remember the past of me winning. No. Back to the analysis, traders. I'm sorry about that. After this, there was a bounce here, a 4-hour bounce, and this signals continuation to the upside. This is exactly what I want to see. This is exactly what you should be targeting or going after on the US dollar and the Japanese yen currency pair. Now, with that being said, beautiful traders, if will there be another or a second retest of this? Possibly. If you did miss this one, possibly wait for this, and then a continuation to the upside is imminent. Now this is the 4-hour time frame, and with the 4-hour time frame, traders, we do not have to miss any opportunities because it takes 4 hours for these candles to close. Now let's go to the daily time frame. And traders, with the daily time frames, very simply put, it looks like what we're having on the 4-hour time frame correlates with what we have on the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, we did have this break of this structure right here, which has been the resistance for quite some time. Down, retest, down, retest, very much down to trap this liquidity, retest, continuation to the downside, and we finally broke it because we broke even this high. Now, how many times did we test this? 1, 2, 3. Now, what do I expect to see right now? I expect to see the continuation go to the upside with this US dollar Japanese yen from this level. I believe that we are going to get a bullish Friday, which might end up being here, and then a pullback on Monday, and then a continuation to break out the top. We are going to the upside on the US dollar and the Japanese yen until the end of this month. So this is very clear on the US dollar and the Japanese yen. Looks quite like we are going into the right setups. So with that being said, beautiful traders, let's go straight over to the monthly liquidity or the monthly time frame, the weekly time frame before we go to the monthly time frame. And on the weekly time frame, what we do have a break to the upside, similar to what we discussed right then. And with that being said, we do have another retest of this liquidity or the broken resistance which tends to support. I would like to see this go to the upside. I would like to see this go to the upside, and with it going to the upside, this means what we are having on the 4-hour time frame and what we are having on the daily time frame is exactly what we are having on the weekly time frame, and it must also correlate with what we have on the monthly time frame. So this makes perfect sense. It doesn't need deeper understanding. This makes perfect doubted sense on the US dollar and Japanese yen. So we are going to what we call now our monthly time frame. So with the monthly time frame, very simply put, what we do have was, I did mention that February was lacking volatility. It was an inside month of January. And with that being said, March came out and pulled the new high. And with the new high, I believe we are going to break this monthly uh, resistance right here or reach it, which might result into our targeted 1:20. Everybody knows what and how we target these signals in our real account traders community, of course, and even here on the free YouTube channel, we do target 1:20 risk to reward ratio. So very simply put, what I would like to see is reaching this or breaking above and then a pullback to continue to the upside for the rest of the year with this US dollar and the Japanese yen on this currency pair. We did remember that the Fed only signaled that this year we might have one cut of the interest rate decision, not multiple cuts. So this also boosted the dollar positively and fundamentally. So what I would like to see continuing this analysis, we have to go back to the 4 hour and remind your traders what I want to see. What I want to see is a continuation to the upside to break the top and make a new high here and continue with the wave until we reach the liquidity on the monthly time frame. So this is the US dollar and Japanese yen liquidity, and we are going to make money with this currency pair. Watch the space. And last but not least, traders, we are going to see the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. And last but not least, with the US dollar and the Canadian dollar, what we expect, I expect to see this continue to the upside because we already have tested this 14-day liquidity, not yet the wave liquidity. But if we do have a strong or a weakness in the US dollar on Friday today, going to the downside, this would still be a great place to look for buying opportunities to break to the upside. Remember, I told you traders that I was only bullish on the US dollar despite the strength in the Canadian dollar. If you are paying close attention, you'd remember the break even. You'd remember me letting this go to the downside, and you'd remember my signal to the upside, and everything that we did wish for, or everything that we did plan, and everything that we did plan for did happen exactly as we did. Now, with that being said, this is the 4 hour time frame. If we do get this 14-day liquidity retest, continuation to the upside. If we do get the wave liquidity, continuation to the downside. I wouldn't even mind if we do get this monthly liquidity to the upside. Overall structure, this is the US dollar and the Canadian dollar, and the overall direction is to the upside. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, what do we have to do next? Let's go to the daily time frame and see what the daily has in store for us. Now, this daily time frame, this right here is the daily liquidity time frame. We are having a hard time breaking this to the downs, to the upside. Now, do I still want to see this to the downside? No, I'm not interested in selling the dollar unless everything has changed structure. I'm trying to do this free YouTube channel so that traders somewhere else can see what I am talking about, right? I am trying to do this free YouTube channel so that everybody can know what I am talking about, which is why you have to register your account under the exclusive XNS link, of course. And with that being said, excuse me for that, and with that being said, make sure you register, verify your account details, fund the minimum of $100 or more, just to test these signals. But some of the people who already come and register, they've already tested with the free YouTube and the Telegram signals that we're giving on these four currency pairs and one index, which is the dollar index, and four currency pairs: the euro dollar, the pound dollar, US dollar Japanese, and the US dollar Canadian dollar. Why did I pick these currency pairs? These currency pairs are the best ones to trade, and they are very tricky for some traders. So I would like to strengthen every misunderstanding that traders do have. Back to the charts now. What do I want to see? Of course, I want to see this come from this and then a continuation to the upside. We might get to this level again, and either way, the upside, I would like to see us break this liquidity here. If we do not break this liquidity and we do come down like this, still my bias is still to the upside unless we broke here with momentum and then we have a pullback, and then the continuation will be imminent. But by the time this happens, this would have already shown the break of structure within, I mean, across all currency pairs of the US dollar, and that would mean that it is time for us to sell the dollar. And as we have seen from January to February, we were already in the structure and the change of structure, how we handle the change of structure, and we would rather handle it on time rather than late, or rather than too soon to anticipate what is not there. Now we are on the weekly time frame, and on the weekly time frame, we do have a beautiful bullish engulfing to the upside, especially around the weekly liquidity. The last time we had a bullish liquidity, bullish engulfing was here, and everything went to the upside, and we did break the structure. We do have another bullish engulfing, and I would like to see it break here and reach here, or rather reach this level right here within the next 2 weeks. So with that being said, this still looks like a continuation on the weekly time frame to the upside. Everything from the weekly time frame, 4-hour time frame, daily time frame, including the monthly time frame, has to align. Now this weekly time frame, it looks very good with last week's bullish momentum from the US dollar, and with that being said, this clearly signaled that the dollar is going to strengthen its way to the upside this week. Of course, we do have some inside week currently, but it is not yet, the market has not yet closed. So if the market closes, we would have a clear direction and a clear structure of what this week has done from Monday up until Friday. So with that being said, we are going to the monthly time frame. I guess everything here is still clear on the weekly time frame. Now on the monthly time frame, look at this. Look at this. I would like to see this continue to the upside to take out this monthly structure right here, or to reach there. Why? Because this pattern, of course, I don't know, it's been a long time since I read these candlestick patterns. I used to read them when I started trading and no more, but this looks like a bullish. These three candles looks like a bullish buy, or the bullish candlestick patterns. And with that bullish candlestick patterns, it means that April, if we do close, of course, if we do close much above, the previous month's high, which is here, if we do close around here, this means that April also will be more structured to the upside, and we will make money with the US dollar, Canadian dollar to the upside. Yep. And this is exactly what traders need. A trader who's out there explaining deep analysis, a trader who's out there explaining the best way to get this under control. So with that being said, beautiful traders, this is the last and least currency pair, which is the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. What do I want to see more explained on this? I would like to see this continue to the upside, or even come here, or even come here, or even come here. It depends on the strength of the pullback. If the pullback is too sharp, it might even reach the monthly liquidity, but either way, the direction is still is to the upside. So thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and you understand everything that I've said. If you do not understand, please join the Telegram channel and talk to me directly. From me, Vin Boss, thank you traders for watching this. Bye bye.